Hello, everyone. Give everybody a few minutes to jump on. Hey, Kelly. Hi, Rachel. Seth, can you get a minute when you shut the door? Hey, Diana. Got a few things to cover today, so of course take questions, but I'm going to give everybody just a minute to hop on, because I know sometimes that notification takes a minute. Hope everybody's doing well and enjoying the heat. I think summer's here, right? Hey, Brittany. We got several things to talk about today, so I want to try to cover them all in a short amount of time. Please feel free to drop any questions that you have in the chat, whether it's related to something we're talking about or not. I'd be more than happy to answer them. I'm patiently waiting for my appointment with my hairstylist. I couldn't get in until end of June, so until then, this is what we're working with. Hey, Kristen. All right, it's a couple minutes after 2, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. If anybody joins us, they can go back and catch the replay. Thank you all again for meeting with us on another Tuesday afternoon at 2 p.m. So, as always, I am Deanna Sizemore, Director of Compliance with Bim Group, and happy to come to you every week and talk about what's new and updated and going on in the world of benefits. Hopefully giving you some new information, or maybe adding to information you already know, and answering any questions that you may have. So our chat is always open. Feel free to drop questions in the chat. The weekly talks are posted on our website under bimgroup.us/COVID. The last 2 weeks are not on there. I promise I will get them up there this week. Our dear marketing person who usually does that is out on maternity leave, and she's welcomed her new baby into the world, and I have not had a chance to get those uploaded, so I will promise to get that done this week. So I'm going to jump right in. First and foremost, I know the Paycheck Protection Program is top of mind for a lot of individuals, and we've got some guidance and we've got some changes and we need more guidance. So again, if you've got questions about the PPP program, drop those in the chat. I'll do my best to answer them. If I don't know the answer, I will find it out. I will loop back with you, and then I'll also put it in our FAQs for every weekly chat that we have. So a couple of things. On June the 5th, a Paycheck Protection Program Flexibility Act was enacted, because we need another acronym. This is the PPPFA. And a couple of things that it did, it extended the rehire deadline to December 31st. So it was originally ending the end of June. They've extended that to December 31st. So, and again, that is in response to businesses maybe not being able to open to full capacity or even at all in June. And they don't want those employees to be in any sort of, employers being in any sort of position to not be able to bring those folks back. So the new December deadline allows more time for businesses to ease back in, get into full operations, and then rehire, replace as necessary. The same applies for employers were originally required to rehire and replace up to the number of full-time employees or full-time equivalents that they had by June 30th. And in order to avoid any reduction in loan forgiveness, that has been extended through February 15th of 2020. So employers can hang on to the loan forgiveness piece And it will not be reduced if they're unable to rehire someone who is employed. I'm sorry, I said after February 15th, before February 15th, and hire them back by December 31st. So let me back that up. If they were hired before February 15th, and you can show that you're unable to hire a similarly qualified individual by December 31st, then that won't count against you. So you've got some flexibility there. I'm sorry I messed that up in saying it, and I knew I was going to. I've read it like 3 times this morning. The other thing is the PPP originally said you were required to use 75% of payroll in order to get loan forgiveness. That has now been reduced to 60%. So that gives you a little greater flexibility in how funds are used. The window of time to use those funds has been extended. It was originally 8 weeks, and now it's 24 weeks. And the loan repayment has been extended from 2 years to 5 years. So a little more time to use the money and a little more time to pay that back. So I think we're going to see more to come on that. I think we're probably going to see some FAQs come out from not only the government, but SBA, the Small Business Association, to help with that. But that is the update on the PPPFA program. So more time to pay it back, more time to hire people, more flexibility in using those funds, and a greater percentage that doesn't have to be used to just offset payroll expenses. I know we've got some self-funded folks on here, and we've had a lot of questions about what can be used for self-funded premiums, and it's essentially your COBRA premium equivalent. That's what you can use, and it's the employer cost share of those premiums. It's not the employee and employer cost share. There's also a question that's out, which I haven't had an answer yet. I'm working with our counsel on that, on if an employer decides to say, hey, we want to pay 100% of our employee premiums going forward. Can we do that? And if so, can we use that paycheck protection money in order to offset those costs? So we're working on getting an answer on that. And I have no idea what the answer is going to be, because the regs really don't address self-funded plans. They basically mention a self-funded plan, but then don't go into any really detail about it. Or if they have, I have not seen it. So another couple of things I want to talk about is the COBRA extension. I think we talked about that last time. So if you've got people who need to be offered COBRA or need to elect COBRA or pay COBRA premiums, all of those deadlines that we're so used to sticking to have been extended 60 days beyond the date that the pandemic is declared gone. So right now we're in a state of national pandemic. When they come out and say we're no longer in a pandemic, add 60 days to that, and then your deadlines begin. So if there's any follow-up questions on that, please let me know. Like I said, we did talk about that a little more in detail last week. And as a reminder, please feel free to drop questions in the chat. So, but with that, COBRA has, the DOL has given us 2 updated model notices, and it's basically to help people who how Medicare and COBRA would interact. The updated model notices expand traditional COBRA coverage eligibility to offer more insight for both Medicare and how COBRA come into play. So basically, which coverage is paid out first, should a COBRA participant be enrolled in both programs, ability for a participant who loses their job to enroll in Medicare after a group health plan coverage ends. There's a special 8-month open enrollment period for Medicare Part A and Part B that is eligible the month after an employee's employment ends or the month after the group coverage ends. So I would check out those model notices. I will also put links to those model notices underneath this webinar when it's posted on the website. I'm just trying to see if there's any questions on what I have covered so far. Big thing is this paycheck protection payback. So, all right. Very good. Well, I'm going to, again, if you think of something, feel free to drop it in the chat. I'll be happy to answer those. I ran across an article earlier this week that I felt like would serve some importance to some of our folks, especially the manufacturing firms, where you've got a lot of people that have been laid off or furloughed, and they're maybe drawing unemployment, and you're calling them back and they're not wanting to come back, or whatever that may be. It's how to avoid disputes and ease the return process for when an employee refuses to return to work. And I know we've had that question from several of our clients. They've called so-and-so back and so-and-so doesn't want to come. Either they're enjoying the extra money from unemployment, or they just, maybe they're afraid because of COVID. They don't want to come back. So this article, which again, I will share if I can on the website. I need to get permission to share that on our website, is basically you want to engage in an interactive discussion with that employee. You want to understand what their concern is returning to work, if you can alleviate that, if there's any viable option to bring them back. Maybe it's an older person who doesn't want to return to work for fear of COVID. Maybe you can provide an alternate work arrangement, alternate work schedule. Maybe they can work from home. So just listen to that employee, be really interactive with them, and understand where they're coming from and how can you help them with their concerns and their needs. Something else to think about is the Americans with Disability Act. So employees are entitled to a reasonable accommodation, and that includes personal protective equipment, work schedule modification, job restructuring, leaves of absence, working remotely. Very much ties into that first one. Listen to what they need, and then think about those things that you can do to make it happen. OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, an employee may refuse to work if they feel like they are in imminent danger, or they could be subject to death or serious injury. There's insufficient time to eliminate the danger. So some things to think about there. The danger is not fear. It must be a real identifiable condition. I have a family member who works at Amazon, and that's a real serious situation. They've got people on a line in their returns department, and they're not 6 feet apart, and they may or may not have protective equipment, and you've got somebody that's at high risk, and they're like, look, I want to come back to work, but I need to make sure that, we've got social distancing and we've got the 6 feet, and whether it's installing plexiglass between stations. I don't know if anybody's been to a nail salon or hair salon or anything like that, you'll notice that they've got the plexiglass, and even department stores. I went to a store for the first time since COVID hit on Saturday, other than Walmart, and they had plexiglass between the cashier and the customer. So it may be things like that. If it's working in close proximity and you can't leave that 6 feet apart, maybe it's installing plexiglass. You also want to think about the National Labor Relations Act. Employees, whether they are unionized or not, have the right to engage in activities for mutual aid or protection under the NLRA. And that could be 2 or more employees. It doesn't have to be 10. It can be at least 2. And if you violate their rights, you can be subject to penalties and fines. The other piece, which is not new information, is the Families First Coronavirus Response Act, where we now have paid leave for need of childcare, paid leave if you're sick, or if somebody in your immediate family is sick. So just keep those things in mind. Those haven't gone away. Each employee is eligible up to 80 hours of paid sick time. So you want to make sure you keep that. And this is for employers with under 500. Let me back that up. Employers under 500, they're eligible for the paid sick time. Also unemployment regulations. What does unemployment say? I have received several questions about, well, this person doesn't want to come back to work, but I don't know what unemployment's going to do. I don't know what unemployment's going to say. It's not your job to know what the unemployment office is going to say. The employee's going to have to work with the unemployment office to determine that. So hopefully they can work directly with them. You can't say, look, we offered you a job. and you didn't come back, and now you're going to lose unemployment. You don't know that. So just keep that in mind when you're having those conversations. And you want to provide a safe work environment. That's probably the most important thing. You want to really avoid everything we've just talked about to eliminate any type of disruption or fear of what could or could not happen. So that is, just a quick snippet of what's going on right now in benefits. One last thing, the PCORI fee for self-funded plans, for those who have self-funded medical insurance or self-funded health reimbursement account. It was extended last year through 2029. So if you have a plan year between now and 2029, that payment is going to be due every year at the end of July. The payment deadline has not been extended. The payment for PCORI fees are due at the end of July on your Q2 720 tax form. And our office will be sending out a reminder to all of our clients probably the first week of July. And then if we've helped you in the past with numbers or calculations, we will continue to do that. The IRS yesterday just released the 2019 cost per person, so more to come. They have not released the Q2 720 tax form, so more to come on that. If you have any questions or comments, though, I'll be happy to take them. If you think of something after the fact, you can always email me at deanna@bimgroup.us, or you can go to our webpage and click on there. But as always, I'm available. So I'm going to wait for a few moments to see if we have any questions pop up. But other than that, I'll be signing off. So thank you all for joining us again, and we'll be back next Tuesday at the same time. Thank you. I always end up disconnecting right before somebody asks a question, so I'm going to wait just another minute. All right, with that, I'm going to go. Thank you all so much. Have a great afternoon, and I'll talk to you next week.